Brother Sewing and Crafting family. I'm Angela Wolf, and we have Joanne.
Hey,
Joanne Banko. Hey guys. Roland, I'm just going to do a quick sound check. We're having some weird, I'm going to leave you up for a second, Joanne. I'll be right back. Okay. Welcome everyone. If you've never been here before, by the way, say hi, say where you're from. I have had a weird computer thing going on today, Joanne. Like I had no speakers for about 3 hours, and now I'm hoping I got speakers again. So,
you sound good.
As you roll in, everyone, let us know you can hear us and see us. And I just finished cleaning my studio after my 2-week class. It's spotless.
That's good. They made a mess for you, huh? I bet they had a fun mess.
Oh, creative mess. So how are you, Joanne? It's so great to see you.
I'm good. Been sipping some ginger tea here and enjoying the fall weather.
Oh, wonderful. Hey, thanks, Kelly. I actually pulled out my cup today. You know, I'm always like, which cup should I have for the day? And I am getting so excited for the holidays. I don't know why, if it's just the fall. In fact, I asked my husband if I could bring out, I have this beautiful wreath I made that I always put out like right after November. And then it goes all the way through the holidays. And usually, like he said, you're not putting it up yet because you don't ever take it down until March. So he said, could you please just wait till November? So I think I'm going to have to make one for a fall one. I don't know. So I just love the lights at night because it gets dark a little early. And
yeah, you know what? You got a couple people saying that there's an echo on my end.
All right. Joanne has an echo. Let's see. So you were hearing yourself. Do you have earbuds in?
Yeah. I'm plugged in. Just like normal.
I hear you good. Maybe now I'll just mute myself when you talk. How's that?
Okay. Let's see how that works. And everybody can tell us if it's good now. Please tell us if it's good.
So Joanne, she's going to show us a couple things that are coming on the blog. She always comes and gives a sneak peek of what's coming. So if you haven't been to the Brother blog lately, I'll just bring it up here real quick, just so you can see this. Hold on one second here. All right, so I'm going to open a couple of these and then I'll mute myself, Joanne, so we don't have an echo. But this is one of your last ones, and I love this. I do this on bags. So I'm going to let you talk about.
Okay, very good. I do have the actual sample here, but I think everybody liked those bright colors. Now let's make sure everybody can hear us okay. But twin needles are so much fun to use for utility sewing and decorative sewing. So what I did is I took the standard 2mm twin needle. And I bet you if you look in your little goodie package that came with your Brother machine, you're going to find that orange package, and it's got one of those needles in there. So it does come with many, many, many different machines.
In fact, it comes with so many machines. I was actually working on so many different machines this week, just getting them ready for the students coming, and then some brought their own machines, and every single one of them had one of these in there. And you know, I never even paid attention to this before. I would always go buy one and never realize there was a freebie in there.
Yep. And that's really a great size to use for decorative stitching. You showed the first picture there with the sample of the stitches on there, and you would not know that those are, it looks like a big wide decorative stitch, but obviously done with 2 different colors, with a different color in each needle, you're seeing how much that, shows up. So it just looks like a big, nice decorative stitch. But the 2mm twin needle it's really, really important if you have a computerized Brother machine and you have the option for selecting the key that you're actually telling the machine. You're saying, hey friend, I put in a twin needle here today. You want to help me out with this? And when you select that key, the machine says, sure, I'll help you out. I'll make sure all the stitches that you choose are just perfect for that twin needle. So, we love the way our machine helps us out. I am glad it doesn't quite talk to me like that. I'd rather have it talk to me just by helping me out, or the famous smiley face that we get.
So, Joanne, I have a quick question, because I know on the Brother Dream Machine a while ago, it would actually gray out the keys that you could not use. Does it still do that?
On the Luminaire in particular, it will just not allow you to select those stitches. It'll just tell you that that's not available. So I don't think they gray out anymore.
Well, that's a great thing though, because if it tells you you can't use it, at least you won't break a needle. You're not going to get started and realize you can't use that, or all the other things.
There's a really, really, really important factor here, though, and I don't. I'm sure it's in the manual somewhere, but you know how we are about the manuals. We just want to jump right in and start stitching. The twin needle key is only effective for the 2 millimeter twin needle. So when you touch that key, you are not only telling the machine you're going to use a twin needle, you are telling the machine you are going to use that twin needle that has 2 millimeters between the two needle tips. So now that doesn't mean you can't use another twin needle. Obviously, you can use twin needles, come in lots and lots of different sizes, but your machine isn't going to know any other size other than that 2 millimeter twin needle. So it's really, really important. When you use another width, like I know you and I both love using the 4 millimeter stretch twin needle when we want to do a quick hem on a knit fabric and we're not in the mood to set up our cover stitch machine, or we just want to do something short and quick. It's fine. You can use that needle. You can use lots of different widths, but you will want to turn the hand wheel manually and test to make sure that needle is not coming anywhere near the throat plate. When you have the 2 millimeter one in and you select that key on the machine, you can rest assured that everything the machine allows you to do is going to be perfect. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah, and something else you might want to point out, and I can see a few comments rolling in here. So first of all, the photo that you showed is gorgeous. So we're going to go back to that and talk about thread. But just to be clear, so in case anyone doesn't understand what throat plate to use and what not to use, and I'm seeing Arnell says last time she used a twin needle, material got stuck in her throat plate, which means she was at least using the right throat plate. But do not use the single needle because it won't work.
Yep. And again, the luminaire would not let you do that. It would stop you from doing that because it knows when the straight stitch throat plate is on there too, and it protects you from choosing any stitches that won't work with that. Some previous models did too. So, double check. You'll know when you do it. But yes, be very careful when you're choosing that you are using the zigzag throat plate with a wide 7 millimeter opening is what it would be on most machines.
Yeah, and Donna wants to know any tips for threading the twin needle. Well, I can tell you can't use the automatic needle threader, which we all love.
Yep, you're right on that. Definitely, you want to look in your manual because every machine is a little bit different. Most machines will have what we would call an auxiliary spool pin for the second thread to go on. And yeah, you could fudge a little bit, I'll put it here or whatever, but you really do. That's one area where you want to reference that in your manual and find out what the exact path is for threading. I was surprised, we all learn something new every day when we sew. Isn't that one of the reasons we sew at all? Because it's challenging to us and we're learning something new. Well,
definitely.
I learned recently when I was, I had been doing twin needle work on many different machines and kind of just did it, by the manual sometimes, but by just common sense other times. And we did some twin needle stitching on the It's So Easy TV show. There's a segment that'll be coming up in the near future where I use the same twin needle to do pin tucks. And so I wanted to make sure I had everything just right on the show. We like to make sure we're doing everything. So if the camera zooms in, we don't send anybody off the wrong path and show them doing something that shouldn't be done. But so I checked the threading, and the important part on the luminaire is you will thread, you thread one at a time. And when you thread the second thread, you don't go behind the very last thread guide just before the needle. So you have one thread that's tucked behind that thread guide, and then one thread that's on the outside. And the whole trick with twin needle threading and why every machine has specifics on it is so that you keep those threads just a little bit separated so they don't have the chance to kind of start crossing over and intertwining and tangling, because that can cause issues with your stitching.
Turning it into a big old knot is what we don't want, right? definitely. I see a pile of people rolling in here. Donna said she was actually looking for a YouTube video on this, and you're just answering her questions. Very exciting. So good timing, Donna.
I'm actually putting together a new post that will be on my website this weekend, and I'm doing top 10 tips for twin needle stitchery. So I've been working with twin needles for a long time, and there's just so many different things you can do with them. So I just thought I'd shoot out a little quick post.
And I have your blog right below. If you guys don't know the website, it's right below where you can see the brother blog that I'm showing you here. In just a second, we'll go back there, and Joanne's and my own. So you can always find us. So let's see, what is this, Phyllis? What makes the fabric puff? Oh, this is such a big thing where it tunnels when you do that. Any tips for that, Joanne?
Yep, sure thing. And you know what? A cloud just covered the sunshine out there. So let me just pop up my light. One more there. Okay, make that a little bit brighter. But the reason that happens is there are times when you want that to happen. If you're going to do pin tucks, you want that tuck to form. So it's kind of a natural effect of the twin needle. If you're stitching on a firm fabric, like I stitched that sample on denim, not a real heavy denim, but denim with a layer of iron-on tearaway stabilizer on the back. That's another thing that comes with a lot of the Brother embroidery machines is that one roll of iron-on tearaway, and I tend to use that for a lot of samples because it makes a nice firm base. But if you have a firm base, you in all likelihood are not going to get any of that tunneling at all because the stiff fabric is going to have those stitches lay flat. When you're doing it on a softer, lighter weight fabric, and it could happen on knits, that tunneling occurs just, again, due to the nature of the twin needles. In order to adjust for that, you want to loosen your top tension. So you just keep loosening. And when I loosen the top tension, we always make a test sample, do it. I usually do like 2 beep beeps at a time and then test it, and then 2 more down if I need to go. And chances are you're going to have to loosen that a little bit in order to get that to lay flat. Another option would be to use some sort of a removable stabilizer, a water-soluble wash-away stabilizer. That would also help keep that tunneling. So if that's happening on knits in particular. When I do knits, I like to fuse a layer of really fine, soft, knitted interfacing into the hem allowance. And then if I use the twin needle, that usually means I don't have to adjust the tension, or I have to adjust it very little. But it's always the upper tension that you would adjust by loosening that a little bit to prevent that tunneling, flatten that stitch out.
So that is, even if you're using knits where you don't want to use something, that adjusting that upper tension makes such a big difference. It really does.
It sure does.
And that's, I think, I would say one of the most common questions I've seen through the years. Wouldn't you agree? The tunneling, how to stop it.
And like
it really,
yeah, you need it at times when you want to do a tuck. That's what you actually want to happen. So.
Well, and even I like the 4.0, the 4.0 wide, because I use that a lot when I'm hemming knits. And even when I used to do alterations and custom clothing all the time, you would have somebody that would need something hemmed that you could not find a matching thread, and nor did you want to buy 3 or 4 spools of it for the cover stitch, depending if you're doing the triple or the double, and now you got the over, I mean, you need 5 spools. I would actually use that for the twin needle, and it looked great on the inside and looked great on the outside.
Yeah.
And that, but adjusting the tension is definitely, I think, one of the biggest things you have to do quite often.
Definitely.
So, hey, Joanne, I just, I thought I saw somebody roll. Let's see. I thought I saw a question on there. I must have just missed it, but I think I got rid of the echo. Do you guys hear that echo anymore? And while we're waiting for that, Anja, great to see you. Do you need a different twin needle for any kind of fabric? That's a good question. I think it's our preferences. So you said, is your favorite always a 2.0, or do you switch up a little bit?
Well, the fabric really does, there's two criteria that you're going to look at. What technique are you looking to do? And what does your fabric require? If you're doing top stitching or even decorative stitching, and you're doing it on a heavier fabric, you might want to consider using a little bit of a heavier needle. But rules are made to be bent a little bit and sometimes broken. This twin needle is, I believe, a size 11. I'm 99% sure it's a size 11. And I did it on denim with stabilizer, and it was perfectly fine. So I didn't need anything heavier with this. Now, if I was doing 2 layers of denim, if it was something that had a facing, maybe I might want to size up the twin needle. With knits, I always use the 4.0, again, in the size 11. But twin needles do, as they go up in size, you can find variables of the needle tip size as well. I'm usually looking for the spacing, first of all, and then in most cases, it's going to work fine for the fabric.
Yeah, I agree on that. And it's kind of funny you're talking about denim because we've been making jeans the last couple of weeks. And I had so many people say, why don't you just use the twin needle when you're doing top stitching on jeans? And I personally don't, for a couple of reasons, but you could. I mean, the 4.0 would make a nice even stitch. But if you did that, you would definitely have to up the needle past a size 11. You'd actually need a number 14. But to be honest, on garments, I don't always use that for top stitching only because the backside is going to have that zigzag. So if it's a collar, you're going to see it.
Yeah.
But even on jeans, that zigzag on the inside, you're going over a lot of fabric. And I just find that it's not always as successful. Even if I hammer that seam out, it's not always successful with that twin needle when you're going over big bulk.
I agree 100%. And the other thing is twin needles, when you get into the bigger ones like the 4.0, they're not as inexpensive as regular needles are. So, and you don't buy 5 of them at a time like you do in a pack of regular needles. So you really don't want to risk breaking it. And they are a little bit more susceptible to movement because they're spaced apart and they don't have the same exact strength of that. So along that line, I would also caution when you are stitching with a twin needle, just slow down a little bit, just a little bit. Don't be a speed demon. It's got to get the chance to pick up that bobbin thread because that's what's happening. The 2 threads are going down from the top and they're picking up that one single bobbin thread, and that bobbin thread is forced to zigzag between the 2, and it's got to catch both needle tips. So that builds in a little bit of stretch because you have that zigzag on the bottom, but it also makes, just a little bit more, detail to the stitch. So just slow your speed down just a little bit.
Definitely. It's Celeste, she always gets new tips from you.
Hi, Celeste. Thanks for being here. So
right,
let's do more tips. Let's talk about thread because that's a great question.
Well, actually, I'm going to bring that website back up here too, because when I saw this post go up, I think I saw a handful of people, I don't know if it was on my feed or yours, wanting to know how you got this beautiful color. What thread are you using?
Yeah, and I do mention in the very first paragraph, but it's not real prominent. I don't have any pictures in there of a spool of thread. Usually I add pictures of the spool of thread with the fabric that I'm using, and I didn't do that for that one. But I used embroidery thread. Our Brother embroidery thread is my go-to thread for decorative stitching. I mean, it's pretty much all I ever use. We have such beautiful colors. There's just that huge color range, and it's super strong thread. It's polyester. It's color fast. It's really durable, and it just makes beautiful, beautiful decorative stitching, no matter what kind of decorative stitching you're doing. So standard Brother embroidery thread is what I use for that.
Oh, nice. Oh, hey, I got to interrupt for a second. Colleen says she just purchased the Luminaire too.
Congratulations, Colleen. You're going to have so much fun. Oh, my.
Oh, Lorraine said she had problems with hemming her ruche tee. So those tips that Joanne gave earlier about the that upper tension will definitely solve that.
And I love doing the knitted interfacing in the hem too. Just if you use a really lightweight fusible knit interfacing, it's going to still stretch. So you're not losing any of the stretch. You're putting just a hair of a little bit of beefed up body in that hem, and it just makes your stitching so much smoother, and it helps keep your hem laying nice and flat and smooth. Have you ever had a t-shirt that the hem rolled on it a little bit?
Oh yeah.
Usually,
that.
That could be fabric related, but in my experience, I've found that I never use anything smaller than a 1-inch hem on knits. You know, you'll find it in ready-mades where they'll use like 1/2 inch or 5/8 or something like that, and it's not enough weight to keep that turned under. So I always start with at least an inch hem, inch and a quarter, and you'll get a beautiful finish that way.
That's a great tip as well.
Bobbin
right.
thread. I see somebody asking about bobbin thread.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking for right
yeah.
now.
I'm like, okay, what did I use?
It was
I use usually the same thread I have in the top in the bobbin. It's just
I do too.
it's just kind of a habit, but I'll tell you, there you can, you know, again, rules are made to be bent a little bit. There's a lot of times when you can get away with doing decorative stitching, whether it's with a twin needle or with a regular needle, with your white embroidery bobbin thread in the bobbin. Decorative stitches are designed on the machine with the way they're built in, with the attention that comes up automatically. They're designed to slightly roll to the wrong side, because the whole effect of decorative stitching is to be pretty on the top side. That's what the plan is. So the tension usually, you know, makes that stitch just come just slightly to the bobbin side, which means your bobbin thread tension is not locking right up on top. So very often you can get away with that, especially if you're doing anything that's a satin stitch, which means you know, it's a zigzag in some form, but it's maybe making lots of different shapes, and it's relatively short and tight together. That stitch always balances with more of the top thread actually coming a little bit to the bottom side, and your bobbin thread is lighter in weight than your top thread is, so it tends to stay on that bottom side. And if you want to do multicolors and you don't want to have to change your bobbin out every time, try putting that white standard bobbin thread in your bobbin, and I bet you'll be good to go. I've done it a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one. Also, speaking of thread, one thing that I saw someone else mention something similar to this is if you're low on thread and you only have one spool of thread and you just have a one hem project, you don't need that much thread. I will wind two bobbins, one for the bobbin, the actual bobbin, and one used for my extra spool of thread, because that will allow it to run through and I don't have to go buy an extra spool of thread. So that's another tip. Especially if you're using embroidery thread, you can use that as well if you only have one of those spools.
Yeah, that is a good tip. Yeah, because otherwise, you know, you can mix threads. I have done that, but I always think you get the best results if you have the same two spools of thread that you're using for the twin needle, and not using one thing, because everything runs through it a little bit different, you know, different rate. Like, so if you use standard sewing thread for one of the spools and decorative for another, or even different brands sometimes can stitch out a little different. So I kind of think, you know, it's a twin needle, so use twin twin threads that are identical twins.
Yeah, I agree. Arnell says, are pre-wound bobbins as good as winding it yourself?
Want me to answer that?
Good. You
Okay.
go for it, because I always wind my own. I mean, I do use pre-wound bobbins, but I just find it's just been custom for so long that that's what I do.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say two things about winding bobbins. I'm like you. I actually like to wind bobbins. It like puts me in the mood. It's like, seems like that's the first thing you should do.
I have tea while I'm winding.
Exactly. But pre-wound bobbins are absolutely perfectly fine if they're the specific pre-wound bobbins that are made for your brother machine. Yes, you know, some people go outside that range, but I'm a big believer, and I've been following this ever since I first touched a brother machine. Brother loves brother. So I use all brother products, you know, anything that's available, especially things that are made for the machine. That's what I stick to. And brother does make great, check your dealer. They have wonderful packages of pre-wound bobbins in both white and black. And there's a big bonus with that, because they're reusable bobbins. They're not throwaway bobbins. And so they're just like buying bobbins plus thread, and you get everything all together with that. And I use those a lot if I'm just in a hurry, but I do love actually winding bobbins. So
if I'm just going to use it for embroidery and I'm not going to see the back side, then I always have those on hand because it's fast. But I tend to be embroidering lace or something that I'm going to see the back side, and then I like to use the same thread. So
Exactly, yeah.
just
And in that case, then you definitely wind in a bobbin. But the pre-wound embroidery bobbins are really, really good. I see Cindy popped on here, and Cindy's a pre-wound girl, so we know we all have our favorites. But I always keep some of those on hand. To me, it's kind of like
thanks, Cindy.
I call it like it's like having a box of macaroni and cheese in the cupboard. If you're hungry and you need to cook something up really quick, it's nice to have that to grab. So
The old reliable. By the way, speaking of Cindy that just popped in, for those of you that don't remember, today at 4:30, Cindy, you're going to be live again for your software. I think I'm correct on that. 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
that's
If I'm
right.
wrong, correct me, but I'm pretty sure that's it.
Tuesday is Cindy Day. So Cindy, make sure you double check with us and let us know that's good to go.
And I think I just saw a few more comments. Oh, Dawn says she's never used a pre-wound bobbin. Well, if you're doing it for embroidery, once you try it, it's so fast and easy. You're just like keep them. I mean, it's like quick, quick, quick.
Well, and then you got to make sure they are designed to be reused, because there are other companies that sell disposable ones. I don't use those. I use the Brother ones, and those are exactly the same bobbins that you would buy in a package that would be empty. They just happen to be full of bobbin thread, which, bobbin thread, even if you don't have embroidery capability, bobbin thread works great for lots of things. It's just like having black and white thread ready to sew with. It's a little bit lighter in weight, but it's a strong, really strong thread because it's polyester. So if I'm doing, mending or something like that, and I've got a white pre-wound bobbin in the machine and I need to use white thread, very often I just go ahead and go with that bobbin thread.
Yeah. So Maria she said she thinks she missed it, but she just wanted to affirm. Did you say you're using the same thread in the bobbin that you're using on the top?
I did when I did the decorative stitching. Yes. Yep.
Perfect.
I did. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I want to bring this up again, just so, let's see, just one more time, and then I'll bring up your other things that we have on here. So did you actually do all these stitches? Because we were talking about tips on a sewing machine, and I've always recommended that you should just go through. Now, on the luminaire, you might be there for a few days because there's like a zillion decorative stitches. But just doing a whole pile of the decorative stitches so you can actually see what they look like. That doesn't have to do with the twin needle either, but it's just such a great library. Don't you do that? Don't you, Joanne? Did I get the idea from you?
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't get the idea, somebody else gave me the idea. So you know how that goes. We just pass it along from sewing enthusiast to sewing enthusiast. What I did with that is I started at one edge of the fabric, and I started with the utility menu. Now, I did what I'm going to call decorative stitching, but all of those decorative stitches came from the utility menu. I didn't go into the decorative character menu. You could, but I didn't. I stuck with that original menu. If you go into the character decorative, the character decorative menu, which is where a lot of the larger decorative stitches are, and all the different variations are, like you said, you could be there for days. Your twin needle, you're going to need to test with your hand wheel. But for this, I just went right through the utility menu. I started at the very first stitch that it allowed me to do and worked all the way over to the edge. Now, when I got to the edge, there was one more stitch that I needed to do that I didn't have room on the far edge. So I just went back and did that one on the first edge. But when I look at that, I can compare that to the screen of my machine, and I could say, oh, this is stitch number 03, 04, whatever it is in the row, because I did it all evenly, and I just used the default stitch width. So I didn't change any other settings on there. I did change the length. I believe I referenced that in the instructions.
Okay.
So,
hey, Audrey has a good question, and actually, there is one of our brand ambassadors that's really good with the wing needle. But have you ever tried it with the one half with the wing needle? And
I sure have. Yep, that you can use that with various we call hem stitches, so that when it goes into the the one area, it makes a hole. Most of the time, that's used so that you can attach lace with the regular needle, and then poke a hole next to the lace that you're stitching with the actual wing needle. I got plans to do a wing needle tutorial in the near future, so you can watch for that too, because we've got a lot of beautiful stitches in the machine called hem stitches. And if you haven't noticed, lately I've been doing a lot more blogs that are stitch related. I do a lot of them, with different accessories, because we have a monthly brother blog spot that is called Accessory Spotlight. And sometimes that'll be a feature. Sometimes it'll be an actual accessory. But I'm doing more tutorials on some of the things that are, built into the machines that we maybe overlook, or we just don't, we don't highlight those and see how they really shine, and all the different ways that we can use them. So I'm hoping maybe we'll get some comments here to tell me if people are liking seeing those tutorials.
We're going to definitely have to get together in November for our get together here on the Brother page and talk about the wing needle, because I purchased one. I could not find mine anywhere, but I purchased it about maybe 2 months ago, and it's on my list of to-do projects because I'm dying to hem some of my beautiful linens with that. So that definitely has to be on our next two.
Sounds good. I'm up for it.
I brought this up. This is yours, I believe, single pattern decorative stitches. This is also on the Brother blog, and this is so cute. You want to talk about this one?
Sure. There we go. There's another fun one. Many of our Brother machines have the option for you to select a decorative stitch, and then again tell the machine, hey machine, help me out here. I only want to stitch one full pattern. So it'll start at the beginning of the stitch and it'll end at the end of the stitch, and you won't have to watch where the end should be. A lot of the machines I sewed on in the past that had decorative stitches, we didn't have this capability. And if you wanted to do, let's say, a flower or a heart or something like that, you had to watch exactly where that was going to end so that you didn't get a heart plus a half a heart, or a flower plus a part of a flower. So just look for those keys. I try to make, what I've been doing with a lot of these tutorials is getting pictures or images from a variety of different machines. Now, I can't do all of them out there, and I realize there's, some people have had their machines for a little while. Some people are, getting a brand new one, like was it Colleen that said she just picked hers up? But if you look at the keys that are illustrated, you're likely going to find something that matches on your machine, and that will tell you whether or not you have that capability. So by selecting that in the Luminaire, it's those little stars, and when you tell the machine, just one pattern, it'll automatically start and stop. And then by selecting the tie-off feature, it's going to automatically then ties off at the beginning, but it's going to automatically tie off at the end as well. So I just thought it would be kind of fun to make a little shape with it. Oh, you might see a cattail popping into the image here.
Oh. So wait, I just saw that coming out of your head.
There's the head. There's the head. Get her pretty face in there for a minute.
Hey there.
Yeah, she's so pretty.
Oh my goodness, she's so cute.
There's no way to stop them once they get up on your lap. Just hopefully she won't rip my earbuds out. She did that to me recently.
Yeah, no. So I was just bringing this back up so people could look. And, even if you don't have the machine that she's using here, this looks like maybe the Dream Machine, I'm guessing, or something similar. It'll still be in similar places on the newer machines. And even if it's an older machine that still had these, it's still in a similar area. It just might not look the same. And that's the best part of Brother, I think, is that every time you upgrade or move to a different machine, the format, as long as, once you get to a certain level, it's very similar at each one. It's such a learning curve.
They're very, what I would call intuitive, where it makes sense from one model to another model for it to be very similar. So I just, picked a stitch. Now the sample that I did, that you had the picture with the button, that was just, I couldn't resist doing that because the Luminaire has these really cute sewing theme stitches in there. We've got a dress form, and we've got a needle and thread, and I thought, it'd just be fun to, pop a colorful button in the middle there and make a little.
I was just looking at the needle and thread, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's fun, isn't it?
I don't even need my glasses for that one.
So, but you can do, you could do so many things with that. I did a while back. I did a pillow sham, and on the pillow sham, I used some bias trim just to kind of, use as a make an accent for trim. And then I picked decorative thread that was the same color as my trim, and I picked a floral decorative stitch, and I just randomly went all over the front of that and basically created my own fabric. I like to think of decorative stitches as mini or baby embroidery patterns, because that's what they really are. So, it's kind of, it's what I used until I had embroidery capability. I used decorative stitches to dress up everything because I didn't have any other option. But they're little baby embroidery stitches, and they coordinate really well with embroidery. So, think about combining the two together, but using those, it makes a really delicate look. How many times, you may buy fabric that has little tiny motifs on it, and they're randomly scattered. You could do it evenly if you wanted to, but randomly scattered. I remember one time you had a really neat sample you used on the TV show where you did that, on the Brothers sponsored It's So Easy show. And
I'm actually bringing up, I'm bringing up one of your accessory spotlights. And in case anyone missed was it last month that we talked about the bobbin kit, I believe?
Yes, we did.
So I'll make sure that I give them the YouTube video to pop in here in case you missed it. But this is everything that we talked about. And I remember everybody asking, where do we go to find all this? So it's all on. So if you look right below, I just saw someone say, where can we find you guys? Blog.Brothers Sews. You've got letsgosew.com and angelawolf.com. It's all down below. I have it scrolling, so you can't miss it. But this was a great tutorial that we did. Well, not we, you explained to us on this show, as in we, all of us here. So if you missed that, go back, because that was a really great tutorial. And guess what? As I was cleaning last week, I found my bobbin kit. So I am all excited to go read your blog and try this. I haven't done this.
Good for you. That's great.
Good for me for cleaning, or good for me
for you for finding it? I usually have two of everything. So if I can't find one, I know I can find the other one.
Totally organized. Kathy, everyone's saying they love your cat. What's your cat's name?
Her name is Trixie.
Trixie
girl. She's full of tricks.
So cute.
But yeah, we had a great show last month on bobbin work, and I had promised that a tutorial was going to be coming out, and that's the one that I ended up finishing up on. So I show a lot of different threads in there, because that's the major question with bobbin work is a lot of times, what kind of threads can you use? So I tried to take a lot of pictures of the ones that I regularly use, and so you could see which ones are available.
So because you like to share things in advance, I had to bring this up. So cute. And I told you all I've been doing is decorations for our kitchen, like napkins galore. I almost had to do a whole load of laundry every week for my napkins now, but they're so cute. And now Wynn's gotten used to it. So I don't think we're ever going back to paper towels. But this is what's coming. Go ahead and share.
Okay. I see it. Can I answer a couple questions I see popping up here so they don't get buried though?
Sure.
Celeste is asking about using the single stitch throat plate. Boy, I could do a whole show on that, but let's just say that when you use the single hole throat plate and you use the straight stitch foot, you get the most beautiful, perfect straight stitch you can get. It's especially useful on lighter weight fabrics, because with that single hole, there's no chance for fabric to get pushed down into the throat plate. So it's also useful for free motion quilting
and silk. Sewing on silk and chiffon and fine fabrics, it's like butter.
You got it. It's when you need control on a little bit more fussy fabrics or techniques where you're only going to be doing a straight stitch, and that's the key, because otherwise, if you're switching back and forth, you want to have the that throat plate. So. Like I said, I could talk quite a bit about that because there's more things I could tell you on that. Maybe we could do that in the future. And I see, can you do felting with bobbin work? Those are two completely different things. Felting is felting and bobbin work is bobbin work. So
I was thinking the same thing, but I thought, just in case, this is why I love it when there's a couple of us on here, because sometimes there could be something that's named something else. I think my favorite was one day when Cindy said something to me, and I was working on the Scan and Cut. I wasn't even on the same planet that she was on when we were talking about something. And so it's always good to have two sources, because you just never know.
You could do bobbin work on top of felting. That would be pretty cool. That's something I haven't done, but she's making me think of trying it now. So isn't that a great thing about all the different questions and sewing enthusiasts? When we get together, it's like always a brainstorm. We're always that it's like you could see the creative energy just flying in the air. It's
Which
so
is why we
obvious.
love these Facebook Live shows, especially taking over the brother pages, because we can interact with you and answer your questions. But I have to just bring Annette up here. So Annette, I'm so glad you got your pattern. I just have to tell the funny story. So Wynn and I were doing shipping one morning, and we were talking and multitasking. And I specifically remember signing her pattern, putting it in the envelope, and I passed it to Wynn. I'm not going to blame it on Wynn, though. But I passed it to Wynn and flipped it over for him to put the label on. Well, I never closed the package. So she got an empty envelope. So
Oh my.
some mail source somewhere has a pattern, and hopefully the mail person that found it is named Annette, and then they get the pattern.
Oh my,
So
that happened.
I made sure it was sealed.
Hey, you know, by the way, bobbin work would be beautiful on, you know, on the collar or sleeves of your Linda tunic. That would be that would be, I mean, those are the kind of things that you see, tops like that. I mean, that tunic top, I could rave about the tunic top forever. I love that pattern, but it's such a classic look, and it looks so good on everybody, but there's so many different techniques you can do with it. And if you did bobbin work on there, you're going to have something that looks like it came from a really high-end boutique. So there's just another idea.
Challenge is on, Joanne. I'm on it. Actually, I'm prepping to do a Linda tunic sew along. I just haven't chosen the dates yet because I just had to get a few other things out of the way. So it's coming up, though, sometime soon, which will be fun with everybody. That'll be a really fun project. So maybe you'll have to do the bobbin
I'd
work.
love to join in. I'd love to join in on that. That would be
Everyone's
fun.
saying I love bobbin work. Oh, Jenny, it's so true, though. So true. And Celeste said she's going to take that single needle plate out of the plastic now. Good for you.
Very good. Very good. If she needs more help, she knows where to find me.
All right, so I'm going to bring this up again because this is really cute. And I think I have your other pictures here too, if you want them in a different order.
That's okay. That will be coming soon. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw that one day this week. That is the featured free design of the month from Brother. So those tiny little leaves are you know, one of those things that you got to see in person. They are really, really pretty. They're just a nice little border, and I thought they would be perfect for a simple napkin ring.
Those are so cute. I'll bring it up. Can't miss it.
They stitch out so pretty. They're really, really pretty. And then I added a frame from the built-in frame patterns that are in the Brother machine. And you know I say this a lot, but that's another thing I could talk about for hours. Frame patterns are one of the special features. They are in all of the Brother embroidery machines, no matter which hoop size you have. You have frame patterns. Obviously, the larger hoop size you have, the bigger frame shape you can make. And they are a blast to work with because there's just so many ways you can add frames to other embroidery designs and enhance it. So what I did with that one is I added the feather stitch frame around it, just a rectangle. And then I added a straight stitch frame. And I really only did that straight stitch for one reason, because it really doesn't show. I did that so that it would give me a guide when I was putting, I've got, actually, if you want to show me on my camera, my two pieces.
Oh, yeah.
So I had two pieces, one's embroidered, one's plain. This is my lining. And when I put these right sides together, you're not going to be able to see it really good from the wrong side because I used yellow thread. But that outline, that straight stitch outline that goes just around the feather stitch is what I used as a guide for my stitching. So I stitched right next to it. And then when I turned this right side out, the napkin ring was finished, you know, and I knew that I was going to get the perfect size for that. So
that's Joanne, that's so cute.
You want another sneak peek? I'll let you give you a sneak peek at the corner. This is another tutorial. Angle it just a little bit.
Oh, that's so cute.
So that's just a really nice coordinate with the napkin rings, and you'll see this also. It'll be in time for you to make your Thanksgiving decorations for sure. So that'll be coming soon. Just a quick little tutorial.
That's awesome. So keep stopping by the blog.brothersews.com and you'll see this. I think that's going to be very cute. That's definitely on my list.
Kelly wants to see the tie, so I'll flip this back around to the
I'll bring you back up. There you go.
Okay, so it's just tied in the back. So let me untie it so you can just see It's just a flat piece here with the ribbon. I use grosgrain ribbon. Angle that right, and it's just tucked in there. So when I did that stitching that I just told you about, where I put right sides together and sewed around that outer straight stitch rectangle, I just made sure that I tucked my ribbon in to the side so it caught it, and it makes a really easy on and easy off. You probably could almost tack that together if you wanted to make it, so you didn't have to untie it. But I think the tying is kind of fun. It's kind of ceremonially, when you're sitting down to dinner, you untie your napkin ring and you're you're ready to use your napkin and enjoy a good meal. So
that's wonderful. I want to see. So by the way, when you guys do this, if you do these and add to social, make sure you use #brothersews.com, because they share them on their pages and they love to see what you're working on too. Colleen, Tex, you're a great hubby for talking your wife into getting a luminaire.
That's great. That's wonderful.
As Cindy said, those are beautiful.
Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate that. We love getting your feedback. So please go to the Brother blog and check out the posts there, not just mine, but everybody else's. And if you feel moved to leave a comment, please do, because it really helps us know, if we're doing things that are enjoyable for you. That's the whole, that's the whole goal.
Definitely. And even here on the live shows, if you have something that you would like us to show or talk about or demo, you just leave comments, because we always go back and read them even after the live. I know you guys are all lucky because you're here with the live and we're chatting. We're actually live on the Brother Facebook page for sewing and crafting, and the Brother YouTube page for sewing and crafting. So, both worlds are crossing over. We've got the scan and cut, which is fantastic. And there's so many things in the embroidery machines now that are just awesome with crafting. So I think that it's a great combo of things. So many things to do, so little time.
Definitely. Speaking of scan and cut, I actually got mine on my table here. I'm preparing for a sewing guild party next week. Now it's going to be virtual. We're not meeting in person. Normally we would meet in person, and it's an annual event. So I've got a lot of fun things planned, and I'm actually making party favors for everybody, and I'm going to distribute them to one person who's going to find a way to get them to everybody else. And I'm using my scan and cut to make little gift tags to go on the gift bag.
That is fantastic.
It's going to be fun.
That'll be fun. So Joanne, this was a lot of fun. I just wanted to bring up your other screens real quick in case somebody, just to give them a little tip of what's coming up here. See if I can bring this up one more time. Here we go. I think I have these other photos, just so they can kind of get a little peek of this.
Yeah, because there's another little trick that I did in there. I think there's a picture of where you can see me. I have the fabric with two pieces in there.
Yeah.
That picture.
Let me just bring that
I know
up.
I'm going a little dark, so I apologize for the lack of light today. Like I said, the clouds came out and my one light here is starting to go down. So
that's all right.
If I want you to know, because, if you're following the Brother Free Design of the Month, you're going to see a wide variety. And we will sometimes have a design that fits a 4x4 hoop. Sometimes we'll have, something that's larger. And we'll always tell you what hoop size you need. But there are times when I will add to the design, like I did here with those frames, and that will enlarge the design. So this technically is a 4x4. So you could still stitch that in your 4x4 hoop. You just wouldn't be adding the extra outlines for the frames like I did. So in this case, I decided, oh, no, maybe I could stitch this in a 5x7 hoop. And if I do it in a 5x7 hoop, maybe I could get 2 done at a time. So that's what I did. So that's just the little idea there. Just another little tip for you. Sometimes you can do that, and it's going to save you some time. So.
Just looking, I got your other one up here too. Hold on one sec. I just have this other.
And so remember the free design. I think the other picture actually shows the design with the thread colors, and that will be available very soon on the Brother blog. It's actually, you can find it on iBroidery, because on iBroidery they post it as well. And we've talked about this before. Just remember, when the new free design of the month comes out, it's posted on iBroidery. It stays there for a month, and then it goes away. On the Brother blog, which is blog.brothersews.com, it stays there in the archive. So even if the new projects come up on the site,
Here we
the
go.
previous ones stay there on the site. So you can always go back and you can always still download those. So you see that just the color breakdown. I probably switched out the colors a little bit. I wanted to mix a little bit I had a burgundy that I wanted to use for that feather. So I know I added burgundy in there somewhere. I might have substituted that for the dark brown. I'm not sure.
I like that though. So they can all see that. That very, very cute. Marcia has a quick question for you.
Somebody had an idea for a fall mask. That would be fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Did you use regular embroidery thread or did?
That's regular Brother 40 weight embroidery thread, the standard Brother embroidery thread. Yep. It's not finer. Remember the designs that come from my embroidery? Those are all designed for the Brother thread weight. So you don't have to get special threads to use those.
That's awesome. Just reading the rest. Pam, the address is ibroidery.com. You got it right there. I think I'll see if I can type it in.
Yeah, ibroidery.com.
It'll say Brother Sews is typing this, but this is coming from AW. ibroidery.com. Can't miss it.
Brother Sews got it in there for us.
A ton of designs in there.
They do. They're beautiful designs. And the other thing that's fun is a lot of times you'll see that one of the designs that I will use, and I'll put a reference link in there. There are other designs that coordinate with it. So, there are groups of designs that come from the same collection, and I will, I'm just using the one for the free design, but you can find others that coordinate with it. So you can do some other things that match. We always love to match, don't we? We like to find those things that just like everything has to, especially when we're setting the table. Like sometimes my husband will pick a glass or something like, no, wait, you can't use that. It doesn't matter.
I'm with you on that. Well, Joanne, this is so much fun. And I know everyone's going to be so excited for these to come out. So guys, keep an eye out on the blog.brothersews.com. I have the website just down below. You have Joanne's website down below. Be sure to sign up for her newsletter. She's very faithful getting that out every single week. I need some tips on that. But also you can find her YouTube channel, and you can find both of us on It's So Easy TV, which appears every Saturday here on Facebook, but also the new season just started on PBS and Create TV.
Yes.
Old episodes are live streaming on Amazon, YouTube, all the places that you like to go.
Very good. Lots of fun sewing going on.
Definitely. Bonnie, that is not a free site for iBroidery, but the designs that she's talking about are free. There's one a month that's free. So you go there and
one featured design will be posted right on the homepage. So you can't miss it. The free design is always posted right on the homepage. And then all of the other designs are very reasonable. You could pick and choose what you want. So you can cherry pick and buy just the ones that you really like and ones you want to use.
I'm just going to bring that site up real quick just so they can see it. I think I have it right here. Here we go.
I'm so glad everybody joined us today. Thanks for all of your wonderful questions. It's been really great.
A lot of fun. So here it is, and you can't miss it. So, they have Cinderella in there right now. Ooh. You can scroll through all of these. You can also search. You've probably seen us use some of these on some of the blogs.
Yep. And then there's the leaves. So the leaves are there already, but they'll be on the Brother blog soon.
So right here at the bottom left, if you can see my mouse right here, click on that. And there is your free design, FREE. We all love that.
Yep.
Good choice. That's a great one too. So thank you all for being here today. You can always leave us messages, and you can find us on social, send us Facebook messages, however you want to. And we always love seeing what you're doing. Janice says she always loves seeing your newsletter on Sundays.
Thank you, Janice. I love communicating and being able to, talk to everybody through that every weekend.
Sounds great. Well, Joanne, I cannot wait to see you next month to see what you're working on.
Always something new. Always threads flying in the sewing room, cooking up new stuff.
And when the Tunic Sew Along starts, you're definitely going to have to be on there with me to talk about this bobbin work. I think that would be great for the collar. I have a few ideas. Between that, the twin needle would be great. I mean, there's so many different options.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. All right, everyone. Have a great day, brother. Thank you for letting your brand ambassadors take over your page. And the schedule for the week, Cindy Hogan is next on her page, which we will also be sharing on the Brother Sews page. That's at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow, 1:30 p.m., I have a show behind the scenes. And also Emily has a show at 3 p.m. on her page. And let's see, Thursday at noon, we have 2 new brother educators on. And they have a big surprise, and they're there to show you demos and answer questions. So
Wonderful.
a really fun week.
Happy
All right.
sewing.
Until next time. Bye, Joanne. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.